Hello and welcome into the 2018 Samford Softball season preview. I'm John McAfoose with Samford Athletics, joined by Mandy Burford, head coach for Samford Softball. Mandy, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We'll start by taking a look at your roster, and we'll begin with who's returning from last year. Obviously, you have lost some talent from last year. Abby Miranda, Abby Sweeney, a handful of pitchers as well, who we'll talk about in a little while. But you do have two key returners who will be seniors this year, and Shelby Mays and Lexi Higgins. Just talk a little bit about them and what they mean to this program and how they are leaders both on and off the field.
Shelby and Lexi have just been great, from September to now. They've kind of had their eyes set on winning a championship, and they've really showed that on and off the field. They complement each other very well. Shelby is very motherly, as we like to say. She's just very good at taking care of everyone, and Lexi's very good at pushing everyone when they need to be pushed. So we did lose a lot last year, and there was 5, and now there's only 2 to take over that role. But one of our key things that we've tried to do this year is take over servant leadership. That's been our main goal and our main focus, starting from me all the way down. And Shelby and Lexi have both really empowered that and tried to lead from that example and try to give everyone their all every single day. And they've done a really good job at that.
And on top of those two returning, you do have a handful of juniors coming back as well. Hannah Trombley, Madison Couch, Kelsey Royalty, just to name a few of them. Talk a little bit about what that group brings to the table.
Yeah, the fun thing about the junior class and the senior class is that they were here when we won the championship in '06. So they have much more of an important role. They play a much larger role. Kelsey and Hannah and Madison all are great defensively and will be in the lineup with their bats. And kind of the fourth outlier there is Anna Liniantis. She's been, in the bullpen for the last 2 years, just kind of putting in her time. And I've been very impressed with the amount of leadership she's been able to show, being the oldest member of the returning pitching staff and being a junior as well.
And then we get to kind of the youth on your team. You do have a pretty young squad this year, 11 underclassmen and 6 freshmen who are new to the program. What have you seen out of them so far in camp, and what can you really expect from the freshmen this season?
Yeah, those newcomers, there's 6 of them. They're probably some of the most athletic players we've ever coached. They can all, there's 2 pitchers and 4 players. They can play infield, they can play outfield. Some hit for power, some are really fast, some do both. They're very, very athletic. They're very good in the weight room, very good in running. So it's been fun because I think they push everyone, and that kind of started back in September. They pushed everyone to a higher level. And when you add those with the sophomores that got significant playing time as a freshman, I think it's a really good mix. I think that, we're young, but we're not as young as what it may seem in the books, because I think that the freshmen played very high competitive level travel ball and all came from very competitive high schools. So I think they're ready to step in and make an impact.
We mentioned that some players departed, including a couple of pitchers, Gray Adams, Rebecca Leonard, Jessica Stone. This year will be your first season overseeing the pitchers. How does that kind of change your role and routine on a daily basis, and what do you really expect from your pitching staff this year with so many innings lost from last season?
Yeah, it's a lot different. Managing things, it's a lot different. A lot of people say that trying to be a head coach and a pitching coach is a very difficult thing to accomplish, but I think if you put great people around you and have a great staff around you, that it forces you to communicate and to all be on the same page. So that's been kind of a difference, as I've always been a lot more heavily involved with the hitting, which is just kind of transferred over to the bullpen. And I really can't say enough about the 4 pitchers to welcome me and be very coachable with everything that we've gone through. Taylor and Anna Lynn, a junior and a sophomore with not very many innings pitched, have shown more maturity than I could have ever expected. And then we have the 2 freshman pitchers, Emily and McKenna. So, it's different, but I think my staff is very young, but they're very knowledgeable in their own areas. So it's giving them an opportunity to grow as well as giving me the opportunity to grow. So I think that as long as we keep communicating, everything should run very smoothly.
There are a couple changes to the coaching staff this year. Hunter Veach, the new volunteer assistant coach for you, and Abby Adams, who was a volunteer assistant last year, is now a full-time assistant, and of course Megan Dowdy back for her second season as an assistant coach. Just talk a little bit about how you guys have kind of meshed maybe as a coaching staff and how you've impacted the team.
Yeah, the great thing about those 3 is that they know how to win. Abby was a student assistant when we won in 2016. Megan was a senior. She was player of the year that year. And everywhere Hunter's been, he's been very successful. From the NAI level to Auburn, wherever he's been very successful. So the neat thing about it is they're very competitive, and they just have that urge to win. And I think that's one of the qualities you look for when you're trying to hire someone. So Megan's completely taken over the hitting. She's been doing really great at that. I think she learns the hitters every day. Abby is taking over the defense. You know, it's the fun thing about Abby and Meg is Megan holds a lot of the offensive statistic records here at Samford, and Abby holds a lot of the defense statistic records. So to have both of them back and their love for Samford, I think just goes a long way. And Hunter is very knowledgeable. He's completely taken over our base running, kind of our mindset, our way of thinking, and he is very, very he's probably one of the most technological guys I've ever been around in general. He's going to completely transform our game when it comes to video and scouting.
Let's talk a little bit about the strength of your schedule, specifically the non-conference portion. There are a lot of Power 5 teams on the schedule, including Mississippi State, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, just to name a couple, and even the mid-major schools, a lot of really strong softball programs. Talk about how that strength of your non-conference schedule kind of tests you and prepares you for when SoCon play rolls around.
Yeah, I think the better competition we can play throughout the year, the better it will prepare us for hopefully trying to make a regional. You know, that's our goal, is to win conference every year and try to make a regional. So we want to schedule as difficult as possible, try to spread it out whenever we can, but really try to test the limits, because your maturity, I think, really grows in those games, and some of your leaders emerge in those games. So I'm excited. It's kind of been something we've been doing the last 2 to 3 years. Adding Georgia this year, that's a new team we haven't played before. We saw Texas a couple years ago, so we're excited to take the girls to Austin there, and it's always fun to play Murphy and Van at Alabama and Mississippi State, but we're just looking forward to that and opening up at ULL. You know, I mean, they're a contender every year. They make super regionals just about every year, and with the new coach, that's going to be a tough matchup that Thursday night to open the season. So we're really looking forward to it.
And you mentioned one of your goals every year is to make regionals. Where do you kind of see this team going this year? Obviously, last year we saw a lot of improvement from the beginning of the season until the end when you made that run all the way to the championship round of the SoCon tournament. How do you see this team kind of evolving over time, and how good do you think they can be by the end of the season?
Yeah, I think last year was kind of a testament of a lot of people being put in new roles, and we graduated a lot of starters the year before, so the more experience they got, the better we started playing as a team. This year I would hope to expect the opposite. The older ones know how to win. They know what it takes to win. So, our objective has kind of been for them to raise everyone's level of play. Hopefully we don't have a slow start. If we do, hopefully we're learning in those situations. But I think the sky's the limit. Every year we want to win the SoCon, want to be very competitive in the SoCon. SoCon is a great league. It has some really good pitching in our league. So that's the objective, is just to start a little bit faster than we did last year, and just to raise our level of play with every practice that we have.
Mandy, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Samford will open the season with the Mardi Gras tournament in Lafayette, Louisiana, February 8th through February 10th, and they'll return here for their home opener on February 21st against the Troy University Trojans. And you can catch that game and every Samford home game all season long on the SoCon Digital Network.